Hi there, this is Kimile, and you're listening to Heal with Kimile podcast. Today, I want to talk about people not being able to see evil. And if you can't see evil, you're in trouble. And people that are innocent, sweet, kind, they don't want to see the evil. But if you can't see the evil, it will come and bite you in the butt. So, what is evil? How do you spot it in people? How do you know if someone's evil? Well, there's a handful of things that if you put them all together, you probably are safe to consider that person evil or not good for you or something like that. But you have to really do a little inventory. If you're in a relationship or you're watching something happen, you kind of just need to discern for yourself. And look, I'm a little nervous about the AI. I don't want it taking over people's ability to discern and think for themselves. People are already asking it a lot of questions. And I've seen a lot of videos where they're talking to AI about spirituality and stuff like this. It is a computer program. It's programmed by us. Everything that we've ever responded to online, it's kind of captured and stuff like that. But you still have your own barometer. You still have your own truth detector, if you will, in yourself. I feel like people could lose that. So I'm really against asking AI things that you could figure out on your own. Kind of feels like it's cheating through life. And then if you get dependent upon that, wow, then you could get lost, frankly. And in my world, I'm paid for my perspective. I'm paid to help people get a new perspective of something, right? So it really is about perspective on with mental health sometimes. If you see something differently, if you see it maybe through different lenses, it doesn't have the pinch or the burn or the sting anymore. So I try to help people understand that maybe they're taking something personal when they shouldn't be taking it personal. But if you're with somebody or you've been brushed with evil, so to speak, it's a different dynamic. So let's get back to what I started this conversation with. What is evil? How do you spot it in somebody? How do you see it? Right. And so here's some characteristics I think that really are, classic for sociopaths or someone like that. They speak in generalities, when they're talking to you, well, you never this or you always that. And it's everyone else thinks that this about you. We all believe this about you. So you kind of feel a little ganged up on. And you aren't going to be able to win in that conversation because if you're always doing this, if you're never doing that, that's how they see you. So they've already got you figured out. And it feels like a projection sometimes when someone's saying this to you, well, you're always doing this. So you're always wrong. You're always bad. You're always judged, basically. So when people speak in generalities about you or to you, they make you feel bad about yourself. And they've already got you figured out. They will communicate and behave in a way that introverts you. So it's making you doubt yourself, making you feel bad about yourself, whether they interrogate you or just seem to take authority over you, or they communicate in a way that makes you feel stupid or unattractive or something, or, why are you wearing that? Maybe you should lose some weight. Or it's like they say things that make you kind of go, oh, I don't like me when you say that. Because that's the perspective they've got of you and so they're trying to make you feel bad about yourself. And if you're introverted and, it usually is a criticism, most time it's a criticism or you're feeling judged by them. It's how they say it sometimes, but it's also what they say. But if you have a comment hurled at you, well, you never do this and you're always doing that, you never wear the right thing or you don't look whatever. If you have someone doing that to you, the introversion means that you're now focused on yourself. You're feeling bad, you're feeling guilty, you're feeling unattractive. You're just not feeling self-expressed. You don't feel like you can just be free to be you. And when you're not feeling like you can be self-expressed, when you're introverted, you're over here doubting yourself, missing what's going on over there. Like, why would that person need you to doubt yourself? Why would that person not want you to feel comfortable or confident in your own skin? Because that's a distraction. It's like a distractionary tactic. So you don't see what's really going on. So that's another way. They tell you bad things about yourself for your own good. I'm only telling you this because I think you need to know. And other people are talking about you, so I wanted you to know. But again, it's basically bad news about you. And they're doing it in the guise of, I'm trying to help you. And that's not the truth. They're telling you bad things to make you feel bad about yourself. Again, what's the motive behind that? If you feel bad about you and you're not focused on them, what are they getting away with? And a lot of times it's just that you're upset. I see this in relationships where, I would say someone starts dating somebody and they just change. They start changing, that their lights dimmed a little bit. And that person, I say they kind of black widow them. A black widow, kills their mate, So A Black Widow experience is where you kind of get rid of friends and family, and the evil kind of hones in on that person, and they just kind of take over their lives. They get rid of people, they get rid of relationships. They want to be the center of that person's world. So that Black Widow experience. And then if you lose your light, lose your luster, they've got you all to themselves. And I've seen this over and over. It's kind of like if I look at someone before they were dating that person that I think is, probably sociopathic, and then after, radically different person. And maybe if you've got kids, you can see when they hang out with good kids or bad kids, you can see a marked change in your child's behavior if they're hanging out with someone they shouldn't be hanging out with, doing things they shouldn't be doing, drugs, partying, sex, porn, that kind of stuff comes into play. But you want to pay attention if you've got behavioral problems with children, or if you're dating someone like this and your behavior changes or your confidence is lower or your looks change in a negative way. Typically, you might be around someone who is sucking your light, so to speak, right? So they're bringing you down. Another thing you can look at is they don't ever show remorse. They don't really ever see that they're doing anything harmful. They justify whatever they're doing. So they're not really at fault. They don't take responsibility for that. They justify their harmful acts. They only apologize if they get caught. They don't really bring up, accountability. They're not really sorry because they see that they've done something wrong. They're sorry because they're going to lose you. And so they can't lose you. So I'm sorry, I'll do this, I'll do that. But only when they're about ready to lose you, probably, or that you're going to, you're mad or something. It's like, you got to get you back on that even keel with them. Another way to spot someone who's got this dark energy is they have a poor sense of causation, meaning they don't see how they cause things. They might get yelled at by the boss, and they come home and beat their kids or yell at their kids or something. So they take out their anger or frustration on other things. I knew someone that ran out of gas and broke their windshield. It's like, they just took out their anger on something other than the real issue or the real person. So they will target weaker, more helpless, innocent things. They might hit animals, So these kind of people just have to get it out, and they don't care who they hurt. But again, if someone's taking their anger out on you or their frustration out on you, or you're in trouble or something, right? You're always in trouble with this person, or they're never happy. They're just never happy. They're always going through something. And if you don't help me, or if you don't, want to listen, then you're the bad relationship. You're the bad person in the relationship. So it's kind of consuming. Like these people are, can be consuming, and they consume your energy. Another thing that they could do is they're willing to engage in violence, but only against someone they can always win against. The helpless. They could beat their children. They could hurt young things, animals, things like this. So obviously that's someone who's not a good person. And then when they relay communication, they might worsen it. They change it. It's never really the full truth. It's some sort of a version of the truth. But they might, if they're talking about your children, for example, like as, maybe their step parent, they'll, oh yeah, she got into the tennis club, but, she didn't have the perfect score. Someone was higher. It's almost like a little backhanded, insult, backhanded compliment, they call it. But it isn't like they're just, here's the news, here's passing it on. They have to worsen it about whoever they're trying to bring down. These people will use sex as punishment, so again, someone who's got some major issues, that might be a rapist. They could be, sexually harming somebody. That's a sociopath, right? So that's someone who's got some major problems. Or they withhold sex, or they critique your sex, or they need to have sex and they're dominant in their relationship. Oh no, they're going to have sex every night and you're going to comply. If you don't, you're a bad woman or a bad man. But they use sex as punishment. Another thing they would do is they disregard property rights. Like they might destroy their property or your property, but they can be materialistic, like they like stuff. But if they're having a fit, they'll punch a hole in the wall, or they'll break something, or they'll throw something. And they don't care who sees it. They're not afraid of offending. They're not afraid of affecting your mood or scaring you. Some of these people, again, they just burst. They just react without being cognizant of who's in the room. There could be children there. There could be younger people. It could be older people. They don't care. They're having a bad day. So I got to deal with it. It comes across really immature when they do this, by the way. And then these evil kind of sociopathic people, they typically break rules. They're unethical. They commit crimes and they kind of brag about it. They might steal just to get away with it and kind of have fun. They speed and, or authority doesn't matter to them. They're not going to play by the rules. They'll kiss ass. They'll pretend that they're great, but they get away with stuff. They might steal here and there or fudge their time card or something, but they're typically break the rules because the rules don't apply to them. Another way to look at them is they are kind of insane on the subject of getting help. Like they just don't really get help if they go to therapy. They feel like they're being attacked. They personalize that and they have a hard time with any feedback. They don't want to hear feedback about themselves. They have a real hard time being judged, yet they're very judgmental. And so when they go in to get help, they're resistant to getting help. They're kind of insane on the subject of getting help. And they are anti-counselors. They're anti-working on you kind of thing. They don't think they need help. They like themselves. They're fine. It's not them that needs to change. It's you. Another something you can look at is if they're put in power, they abuse their power. So a prison guard, it's like they'll be mean. That person's stupid. They got themselves here. They deserve everything they're getting. They don't really have the ability to be compassionate. They determine who's going to be abused and who's not. And typically there's a place in their world where they are kind of abusive, whether it was hurting animals growing up or pushing girls too far and then making them feel bad or shaming somebody. It's kind of like just this little mean streak they've got, but they hide it well. They keep it under wraps. And, if you're observing, you can kind of see a little side of them. Maybe they're mean to the waiters or or someone that's helping them, or they take advantage of it. Maybe they were mean to a little sibling or a little cousin or something. Again, nobody sees this side of them. They hide that. But they have some sort of acting out. This is usually the case with some sort of sociopath, somebody evil, right? They will advocate therapies and institutions that are like euthanasia. They don't really care about people getting better. They don't believe people can get better. So death penalty, things like this, they don't have the ability to have compassion or to help people in a way that they would be sacrificing of themselves. They don't sacrifice of themselves. If they give, they expect to get something out of it. So if you're with someone like this, or people in a relationship with someone like this, they're probably not doing well. You're probably not doing well. And what I mean by that is you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. You don't feel confident. You don't feel attractive. You might be having health issues, and you've had health issues since you started that relationship because you're roller coastering. The roller coastering person is someone who's not stable. So they're emotionally high, they're emotionally low, they're sensitive, they get upset easily, they take things personal, they have a hard time grounding themselves. And it's a marked change from when they probably first started dating this person or started engaging with their relationship, because they never probably used to doubt themselves as much. So if you start dating someone who has this little evil energy that just, their goal is to keep you upset, by the way. If you're upset, then they kind of siphon your power. They siphon that energy. And that's what they feast off of, because they don't have the ability to make their own light. People that have these dark energies, they don't make their own light. They borrow your light. They borrow someone else's light because they can't create their light on their own anymore. Maybe they never could. But they're kind of parasitic in nature, and you become a utility. I've seen a lot of people I would call the beard, okay? If you're kind of being a beard for somebody, that means you're covering for something. I had a guy that was gay, married to a wife. They had many kids. They didn't have sex anymore. He was kind of living his own life. He had this really expensive camera. He took a lot of pictures. She didn't know what he was taking pictures of, but she found out later as they went through a divorce, because there was no relationship after 10 years, no sex. And they were kind of together for the children, right? But she found out he was taking pictures of young girls. So he had his own private life, but he was taking pictures and selling them, basically, to perverts. He was gay. He had a gay lover in the background, of course. And he was also married. So they were, then they both had wives, and that was their cover. That was their beard. So they looked like they were straight men, great dads, things like this. And the wife was like, she lost all this weight. She was pretty obese, and she lost all this weight, had some guy hit on her and stuff. And she realized that she kind of wanted to have sex again. She approached her husband in therapy with me, and he was not interested. So that was maybe the game changer for her, is I'm done living this way. I feel like I'm getting nothing out of this. And it was all for appearances and to stay together for the kids. I believe he loved his kids, but he had massive problems here. So when you're in a relationship like that, that person utilizes you for your caliber. Someone like that would need a woman. That's a good way to hide out and not be found out. And his parents were very religious, so he wouldn't look bad to them by being a gay man. Again, he had it all. And so he was very, very angry she wanted a divorce. He didn't want to let that go. What's he going to do? Who's it going to cover for him now, right? And this gal's very accomplished, makes good money, high caliber, beautiful, and now looks really good in her jeans because she's lost all this weight. She's ready to live again. She's done being kind of just feasted on by him. And if she ever did kind of have needs or come to him with stuff, he didn't know really how to deal with her. He would just look at her like, well, I'm good here. Why do you want to ruin my day? Why you got to fight? Why do you want to fight all the time? She's like, I don't want to fight. I just want to bring up, I'm not happy, or I'd like something to happen in our relationship, something like that. He couldn't hear it. And she was always, a burden, that she felt like a total burden when she brought up her needs in their relationship. So if you're with somebody or you see this, like you talk about, I have some concerns I want to talk about. And if it's not like, okay, well, let's do that. What's going on? And you're not well received and they don't want to hear you. It's, how dare you? You're being such a bitch. There's a pushback. There's a defensiveness, right? And so that person does not feel like they can be themselves and they can't even talk about their needs. The sociopath doesn't give a shit, right? They don't care. The nice people, by the way, the kind people, the good people are the ones that are picked for the job of being the beard, by the way. So someone who's evil, again, needs to hide out in your valence, in your light. And that is that wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. So when you figure this out, it isn't like they're always murderers and violent. But when you start figuring out people's real motivators, like why they really are motivated to be in a relationship or to do what they do, you have to look at maybe they are hiding something. I have a situation with a married couple. They got divorced. They have 5 children, a lot of kids here in Utah. But he basically owes her back child support. He owes her money. And he's not paying it deliberately. He's got money. She's pretty much destitute. He's made sure in court he doesn't owe her a lot because he kind of lied and, made some false claims about his income. He got married to somebody who's really a difficult woman. And he's kind of put her now to deal with his ex-wife. So they've gone to court. He's won most of the time, which means lowering his child support. He's just not there. And he wants half custody and things like this. And it isn't like he shouldn't have half custody. He's a dad. I get it. But what starts happening is the ex-wife is just constantly just chipped down. She can't win. She doesn't have the money. And a lot of times in court, it's who pays, who's got a better attorney. And I hate to say that, but it's true. It's so adversarial in our family courts. It doesn't need to be that way. But I'm watching him just win at all costs. And so, she's got a judgment against him for, I think, $20,000 back child support. But he's not going to pay it because that would give her a win. That would give her something. He keeps fighting for more time with the kids. And again, he just keeps her in court. She can't afford this. And so she almost is forced to throw up her hands and just say, fine, you win. But again, to what end? Just to hurt her. Now, someone like that, okay, this guy that keeps doing this to his ex-wife, I think the reason he keeps suppressing her like that and kind of, she's roller coastering for sure. She's getting suicidal. She's like, I can't, how much more can I take of this? He's torturing her. He really is torturing her and he knows how to do it. And he presents very well, good looking, a lot of money, fancy cars. He's one of those. And she's like almost destitute. And he says that my kids are living in poverty over there. Well, whose fault that, right? Whose fault is that, dude? But I suspect in this situation, there's some secrets. I think the primary motivator is to keep her so off balance, she doesn't see what's really going on with him. She doesn't know if she was the beard, okay? And I do think there was some cheating. I think there's cheating. He cheated. That's why they broke up. But I feel like there's more secrets maybe. And these kind of people just keep poking at the one that could out them. The ex-wife knows him more than anybody. If she got her brain back, if she got herself more stable and she wasn't constantly fielding lawsuits and, insults and now his wife is going to court or going to the parent-teacher conference and trying to parent. Again, what do you want to do? Hurt the woman? Yeah. How you hurt your ex-wife, you send your new wife to do the job, right? And then she's just put together and she's great. Anyway, it's devastating for people. But I do sense there's something that this man is hiding, and his wife, in her right mind, would be able to know what this guy's been up to, what he's really doing. And if he's got something dark and secretive, I feel like she's the only person that could probably figure him out. So that's why he's pecking at her. She's a threat. She could be the threat for him, that she knows about his secrets and what he's up to, right? So you have to consider why someone's attacking you, why someone's doing this. Might to keep you so tipped over, you just don't see the truth. You can't see clearly. Why do they want you to doubt yourself so badly? Because if you don't doubt yourself and you figure out who they are, you see them clearly, you'd run for the hills, you'd get away from them. So, the characteristics I spoke of earlier, where you could kind of spot people just not really being engaged and you're feeling bad about yourself when you're around them. That's a pretty classic sign that someone's trying to, suppress you and take over. And this is how they parasite off of you in your life. And again, it doesn't happen to bad people. It happens to high caliber, kind people that can't see evil. They don't want to believe that about somebody. And they tend to bump into multiple people where someone says, you got a bad picker. You're picking the wrong person again. That is typical of these good people. And so they are good, they are kind. And when I enlighten them as to what evil is and how evil works and uses their light and their goodness against them, I teach them to be a little more self-protective. I mean, honestly, they need to work out. They need to take care of themselves. They need to have defense for themselves and for their light. They need to remember who they really are and see themselves as amazing because they're the ones getting feasted off of. If they weren't somebody, this person wouldn't want to use them for nothing, okay? And another thing, I've met a handful of these dark people, these evil people, and they have great people around them. I mean, great people. So it's like I'd take them on as friends. I'd take them on as clients. They're usually really solid, good people because there's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And they've got to surround themselves with really good people so they look like they're just like them. And they're not, but they're chameleons. And so they can they can front it for a minute. They can fake it for a minute. But the truth about evil people is they can't fake it all the time. It's a lot of work to fake being good when you're not good. And so this is why they hide out with good people. It just keeps the secret going just long enough for them to get whatever they want. Remember, if you're a good person, if you don't see evil, you could be a victim of something dark latching onto you and kind of parasiting off of you. And if this is something that you want to talk to me about, I would be happy to help. You can find me at my website. It's healwithkimile.com, HealWithKimile.com. Thank you, and I hope this helps.